What's up, you guys? Chet-Guthrie, the Dream Poet here, coming to you all with a very brief statement before the start of this video. And anyway, you guys, as of September 1st, my book, Ghosts and Mysteries of Bradley County, Tennessee, has hit Amazon shelves, or Kindle shelves. I'm not sure exactly what. Anyway, long story short, Kindle, Amazon, Kindle, they're all owned by the same people. Anyway, you guys, I'm super excited. This is my very first self-published book. And anyway, I thought, I would just share it with you guys. You can find the link to this book in the description box below. If you've ever wanted to find a way to support the channel or support my adventures to keep this boat afloat, well, this is a perfect idea. You can give it as a gift to a friend, a family member, or just a book to share around the campfire for this fall season. Because as you all know, haunt season is upon us. It's my favorite time of year, my favorite filming time of year, and you know what? This book is awesome as well. But anyway, you guys, I'm going to let the cameras roll. This was a fun vlog to make. It's a really good one, so let those cameras roll now. Gee, driving through Atlanta sure is fun. It'll knock a few years off your life. Just saying. But anyway, what's up, you guys? Chet-Guthrie, the Dream Poet here, coming to you all from the Atlanta History Museum. And also, why we are down here in Atlanta today, well, you probably saw the video that came before this one. We were at Dragon Con. Yes, it was a lot of fun. That was my sister and I's third Dragon Con that we've been to. It is it's a family tradition, I guess you could say. I also got a haircut, looking pretty nice. And also I wore my Slytherin duds, which was pretty cool. But anyway, you guys, we are here, as I was saying, at the Atlanta History Museum. And there are two really cool artifacts that are in here. Those two artifacts you all must be wondering about, well, of course, is the Texas. If you all don't know what the Texas is, the Texas was the train that chased the general during the Great Locomotive Chase. And also here at the museum, there is also Atlanta's first mile marker. And this mile marker is what decided, was the factor that decided on how Atlanta would be shaped and formed. If y'all didn't know, Atlanta was a railroad town, or started out as a railroad town, and well, now, I mean, just about everything can be found in Atlanta. So anyway, my sister and I, Lily's sitting right there, we're gonna get inside, we're gonna check this stuff out. So let's get to it, you guys. Let's do it. Auburn Avenue Rib Shack. Let's see what this is all about. Auburn Avenue Rib Shack, neon sign, unidentified manufacturer, Atlanta, circa 1965. Gift in honor of Mary and Alan James Taylor by their daughter Dorothy Clements, Atlanta History Museum and Atlanta History Center. Oh, so this is a barbecue sign. And right above that, you've also got all the names and all the benefactors that went into this museum. By the way, we haven't even gone through the main doors, and this museum is already incredible. But the first one that we're going to go check out is the Texas, which is through the Cyclorama. Oh, and this is really cool. This is on our way in through the Cyclorama to the Texas. But this is a model of the USS Atlanta. Let me see. Lost in gallant action against Japanese forces at Guadalupe Canal, November 12th through the 13th, 1942. So the original one sank, of course, but this model is impressive. I saw one of these at Grumpy's Antiques, which is out in the Dalton area, and I'll say for one that was handmade, even it was pretty darn expensive. But this one, I mean, look at all the attention to detail that, like, I mean, everything down to the last nitty-gritty was paid. I mean, that is really cool. 5 Navy ships named for the city of Atlanta. The USS Atlanta, that was a Civil War vessel, ironclad. USS Atlanta during, I don't think that would be World War One. No, that would probably be different. There's World War II, somewhere right after World War II, and, well, more present times. Cyclorama, Atlanta 96, and locomotion. Right through these doors. And right through these doors is what we came to see. The Texas. Now, it was in 1862, you guys, that this locomotive went backwards 83 miles to chase the General. At the time, it had to drop everything that it had to go backwards. I mean, that is just a cool piece of history. Now, originally, I wanted to, gosh, it's even more amazing in person. I wanted to put this in my general movie or video that I made about 2 years ago. Well, actually 3 years ago, but it would have been about $27. And, well, I would have had to have made the drive through Atlanta at the time, which was rush hour traffic, to see it. But this is amazing. And right here, it shows you how it all works. The driving rod, like all the things that makes it go. You got the boiler right there, the sand dome, and then, let's see, the cylinder. Oh yeah, and least do not forget the smokestack to make sure that it's all going and moving. And from what I understand, this, the Texas, this is only about like 10% of it is only original, 5 to 10%. And that is the frame and a few other things. But this is the closest recreation that is, well, to the Texas versus what it looked like in 1886. I mean, this locomotive stayed in service for quite a while. Gotta think. It was the one that chased down the General. And, well, of course it succeeded. It was also the same locomotive that had to pull the General back. And the cool part about the Texas is, you guys, is, well, you can go up in it. You can sit in the same spot where these conductors were going really, really fast, probably about as fast as this thing could go. Would probably be about 45 miles an hour, which would, or in present times, really isn't all that fast. But yeah, think about it. That day in 1862, when a locomotive was hijacked by Union spies, or Union spy and Union soldiers, that, you gotta think, this is the one that had to push back and forth. I mean, it's just cool to think, you know, about all the history that is here. And plus, I mean, just look at all the all like the different signs and whatnot. I mean, of course, this goes back to Atlanta and its railroad heritage. Huh, Southern Railway. Oh yeah, at least we not forget CSX. And right next to that, you have a Texas nameplate. Apparently this is from the 1936 restoration. It looks like in 2015 they did another restoration, and that's kind of cool to see how they pushed that out to lift it up to get it restored. Isn't that just something? It is so cool. Let me see. Track number 1. Let's see what... Oh, this is cool. We have another model. A General Coin Bank. Of course, as you know, the story is, I mean, the General was the one that was hijacked, and also what mainly led to its its untimely stop was that I think it was a valve that burst, and that sent all the guys running for high water. I mean, a lot of them were captured, and a lot of them were, well, unfortunately hanged. Some of them were traded out. Oh yeah, and this is also what I came to see too. It is this post right here is where all of Atlanta, like all of its borders, everything was decided, was mile marker 0. Like, and it branched out, the entire city that we come to know today branched out from this marker, or this marker piece. You could kind of see the railroad, Western and Atlantic right there, Western and Atlantic Railroad. Again, Atlanta, its sole creation was the railroads. Anyway, this explains what this used to be, where the marker used to be, right here, and there is a replica in present times. So now that we have seen those two things, let's explore the museum a little bit more, and let's check out all the really cool things that they have here. This is a topographical map of what the Battle of Georgia the Civil War in Georgia looked like. I mean, which a lot of it was General Sherman's march to the sea. Also, he was in Cleveland too. He and his men, they were stationed outside of Charleston. So anyway, I think this is a rather new piece that they have. The Atlanta Campaign, May 1864. General William T. Army of 100,000 men marches along the Western and Atlantic Railroad. Target is Atlanta. Anyway, the crown jewel of the South, I guess, as you could say, during the time was Atlanta, which, I mean, it's still like an American treasure of a city. Surveying compass right there from Lemuel P. Grant. Artillery sponge crate, pistol holster, percussion cap, Confederate States Arsenal of Atlanta. Check out that old gun. That is so neat. Of course, then you've got the old crate right there. Looks like, well, of course, Atlanta was one of the last turning points of the Civil War, when William Sherman and his men just went and tore up the entire railroad. The Union nomination for president: Abraham Lincoln of Illinois. For vice president, for vice president was Andrew Johnson. Oh goodness, we have definitely come from different times. Battles of Atlanta, fall of Atlanta, and the end of the Civil War. And right over here, looks like we've got a stationary steam engine from 1883. Candy and crackers for the New South. Frank E. Block Company of Atlanta. Huh. Well, this is cool to see. You can see all the gears and all the steam. Did you know that for a lot of locomotives, this was kind of the fate that they saw, like, after their service? Pretty interesting to think how you can go and change different pieces of equipment. It's very interesting. Let me see. Ames Iron Works from Oswego, New York, size E. Unresolved issues. The end of the Civil War in 1865 raised many questions as it answered. Huh. Looks like they've got some artifacts right here from the time. The Union cause, the myth. The Union cause saved humanity. The Union cause was purely a moral crusade to save liberty and democracy. As victors, U.S. veterans forever preserve the last best hope of earth for all people in the United States. Victory, in fact, proved that God was on the side of the Union in the battle of good and evil. Every man's life belongs to his country, and no man has a right to refuse the country as it calls for it. Here's some hand-painted artwork. The canteen cup, tin plate, and frying pan. Apparently this was the 32nd Ohio Infantry. Look how all this was painted. That's beautiful. Purchased with funds from an anonymous donor in 2000. And across from that, we have an infantry drum, 1863 to 1865. And this is from the 55th Massachusetts Infantry. Apparently this was from Thomas Baker, an 18-year-old farm laborer from Ohio. Was among the first African Americans to join the U.S. Army after the 1863 Emancipation Proclamation. And this is a ballot box. Though African Americans fought for the right to vote, this glass-sided ballot box displays those efforts confronted by the white majority during Reconstruction. Ballots were color-coded by party. This glass allowed observers to see which party a voter supported. That's interesting. It's kind of interesting how they made that too. Look, they took chicken wire and they sealed it with glass. The very people who 3 years ago crouched at their master's feet now march in a victorious column of freed man over the same land. The change seems almost miraculous. Interesting. What does this say? Printed under the auspices of the Old Guard and Atlanta chapter DDC, Andrew J. West, beloved citizen, and let me see, the eternal flame of the Confederacy. Oh, that's interesting. So this represents the eternal flame of the Confederacy, lighted during the Confederate to the condition with wind, December 14th, 1939. Old Guard Battalion. And I'm sorry, I probably didn't read that probably to the best of my ability to you guys, but this is the eternal flame of the Confederacy. So what this says: a simple object can have complex meaning. In August 1864, this gas street lamp stood in Alabama with Whitwell streets in downtown Atlanta at the time. This U.S. Army laid siege to the city, bombarding it daily. The Union artillery used approximately 32,000 rounds of shell and shot attacking the city. And anyway, so a Confederate veteran of the battle, 1919, Confederate Memorial Organizations dedicated the lamp to Andrew West, a Confederate veteran of the Battle of Atlanta. And that was at the 1939 premiere of the film Gone with the Wind. So this also is associated with Gone with the Wind too. That's really, really fascinating. And this tells a little bit more. The Confederate cause was right. Confederate states fought to defend the rights of states to govern themselves. Slavery was a benevolent institution. The Confederacy was defeated, but it was never wrong by accepting defeat gracefully. The Confederacy won a moral victory over tyranny. So let me see, we've got some pictures right here. Let me see, I'm believing, let me see. The war did not decide Negro equality. It did not decide Negro suffrage. It did not decide states' rights. And these things which war did not decide, the Southern people will still cling to, still claim, and still assert their rights and views. It almost looks like well, I'm trying to figure out, there's probably somewhere, let's see, my dear husband fought 4 years in the Confederate Army, seemed to feel no bitterness in his heart. I cannot feel kindly towards General Sherman. He was a monster and wanted the whole world to know it. Which I guess, yeah, I mean, that is one way of looking at it. I mean, he did burn down, and well, he burned down a lot. You can look at the history books on that one. Looks like we've got some more artifacts right here. Looks like what General Sherman did to the railroad behind that. And then of course we've got some stuff of during the Reconstruction era. And I remember like hearing about this one, this photo right here. It was a reunion where both sides of the Confederacy and the Union shook hands and made amends. And that tells a little bit more about reforming the nation, 1865 to 1877. And I hope I didn't sound like mumbling. If you want to pause the video and read the markers, you can do that as well. I was just kind of like going over some of the basics of it. But looks like downstairs there's also another amazing artifact that the museum has here. And right along that, it is the Battle of Atlanta panorama, painted in 1886. 17 artists, took 5 months to paint it. The cost $40,000, and that was back in the 1880s, so no telling how much it actually took in today's money. It is 49 feet tall, 370 feet long, 17,866 square feet, 10,000 pounds. That's a pretty expensive painting right there. Minneapolis, Chattanooga, and Atlanta. 24 identified U.S. officers, 0 identified Confederates, 128 figures in diorama, and 6,000 figures in painting. You decide. So beyond these doors is the Battle of Atlanta, George Montgomery Rotunda. So this painting right here that we're about to see, it weighs over 10,000 pounds, and it cost quite a bit of money to see. And oh my goodness, oh my God, oh, this is incredible. This is it. Oh my gosh, this is amazing, you guys. Look how they have the tracks, and look, you have telephone wires that have been cut. You have men running back and forth. You have men retreating. You have men fighting. Now this is beautiful. And this is the Cyclorama. Looks like it goes on for quite a bit of ways. Looks like there is an observation deck so you can see more. If you look right there, that one guy is getting shot. You got a group of Confederate soldiers that were over in there. And I mean, this is pretty close to detail, I want to say, at least in terms of the train tracks. Looks like you can make decisions by pointing, showing where certain things are. Looks like there is an exit right there. Let's see. Cyclorama of the Battle of Atlanta kind of shows you how all of it is set up. And it continues on the other end. You've got Union soldiers fighting there. You've got, well, 2 dead gentlemen right there. You've got a destroyed railroad track. I mean, Cleveland, Tennessee saw about the same kind of destruction, although it isn't as well documented. That guy's laying there. And well, I guess the cool thing about Cleveland, Tennessee and their Civil War, or when they were affected by the Civil War, they had to evacuate the city, and the whole city got shelled. But there were two Civil War forts that stood on top of Fort Hill Cemetery. By the way, that is a story in my book, Ghosts and Mysteries of Bradley County, if y'all want to read it. By the way, as of the recording of this video, it did upload, so if y'all want to read my book, help support the channel, help support my adventures, that's one way you can do it, by buying a book. So now let's go upstairs. Let's check out the rest of this beauty. And I guess from there we'll explore some of the other things that are around here. Yeah, it gives you a better view from standing here at the top. Like, you couldn't really see it at the bottom, but you can see how the railroad tracks were destroyed during the Civil War by General Sherman and his troops. It's really cool. If you look, it looks like it's going straight into the painting. Now, like, aside from being a diorama, this thing is more than a diorama. It's its own beautiful art piece. Oh my gosh, this is incredible. It goes all the way around. Gives you an idea of what the Battle of Atlanta looked like. Let's see what it looks like on the other side. Looks like you can sit and just enjoy the view or meditate. Think about how history is, how we can keep history from repeating itself. And obviously that guy's not having a good day. He's just lying there. And now that we have seen this, you guys, let's check out the rest of the artifacts that are here. This museum is really, really cool. Like, really cool. And now that we are back down, let's see some of the stuff that they have here that's inside the Cyclorama. The American Panorama Company Studio, Milwaukee, 1886. And it shows you all how all this was accomplished. Like, look how they painted it with all that scaffolding. Like, I mean, you also have like the dome shape. That's so cool. Look, they ran it via track to get it all painted. I mean, this is I've already said it, you guys, this is incredible. Got a painting right here. Let's see, the American Panorama Company artist, unidentified photographer from Milwaukee, 1888. So I believe these were the artists that brought this panorama to life. It's just so cool to see, and just how, like, they brought all of this together to tell a story of a bygone era about 170 years ago. It's really, really a lot to think about. So let's see what they got here. Let's see, the Battle of Atlanta, or the Battle for Atlanta. Let's see, got Peachtree Creek, Ezra Church, and Atlanta itself. And here's a geographical map of the Peach City, finding the battlefield, 1885. Looks like you've got more of these men who painted the Cyclorama. I mean, God, I wonder what were going on in these men's heads when this Cyclorama was ordered to be created. I mean, it must have been quite an undertaking to bring all of this together. Well, this one hits home in a little bit of ways. This is a preliminary watercolor of the Cyclorama of the Battle of Nashville. Even though, well, Cleveland is actually closer to Atlanta than it is its own capital. Pretty interesting. Just check this out. Now, I believe during the Civil War, I believe Nashville was caught pretty early on, or captured pretty early on. But just look at how big this painting goes, and that is all one watercolor. So I wonder what this is. Let's see. I think this is Well, I don't want to speak before I know, but it'll explain itself once we get to the end. This might be a preliminary of the Cyclorama. Yep, yeah, this is a preliminary of the Battle of Atlanta, what we just saw in there. I hope I'm saying that right. I feel like I've been tripping on my words. Works in front of Atlanta. We've got a camera. Yeah, I believe that's a camera. Let's see what it says about this. A stereo camera. Anthony and Company, New York, circa 1865. Looks like we've got something similar to that as well. A tabletop stereoscope. The stereoscope allows the individual to view 3D stereotype cards. A type of stereoscope has existed since the late 1830s. Huh. The Battle of Atlanta, fact or fiction. We've got some guns, another weaponry, a box right there. This kind of reminds me of the Battle of Chickamauga National Battlefield. Did you all know that the Chickamauga battlefield, the battle at Chickamauga, that was the second bloodiest battle of the Civil War? In fact, it got so bloody, like men were running out of ammunition and bullets. They were actually beating each other to death with rocks. If that says anything, I mean, that's why it's a close second to the Battle of Gettysburg. We've got some guns right here. This is cool. This is what used to go in a horse's mouth. Interestingly enough, when I lived in Florida, I found a very rusted piece of one of those. I didn't film it, and it wasn't in a national park or anything. It was actually in a community park by the St. Johns River. And look at the inlay of that sword. Camp chest. Let me see, McPherson. It's like the bullet that killed McPherson. Unidentified manufacturer. Beginning in the 1920s, this fired bullet was enshrined in this blue velvet jewel box as the Civil War relic. It was displayed at the Cyclorama building as the bullet killed James B. McPherson. The story of the general's death held an emotional appeal. Many visitors from both North and South hoped to believe the bullet to be genuine as a touchstone to the man. So that bullet is possibly what killed General McPherson. It's probably a pretty big possibility too. Oh, and this is cool. This is the Texas in 1927. In 1927, the locomotive Texas was moved into the Cyclorama building. Previously, it has been displayed outside the Grant Park, where it suffered from the elements. The locomotive served as on Georgia's Western and Atlantic Railroad during and after the Civil War. Its 3-hour role in the Great Locomotive Chase of 1862 made it an icon of Confederate history. Okay, that was a really, really cool exhibit down there. But anyway, guys, now we are here in, I believe it's the Paint exhibit, but they have a lot of artifacts from the 1996 Olympics. Huh. Pecan wood. This is from the 1996 Olympic Games. It was made out of aluminum Georgia pecan wood. That is beautiful. Atlanta 96, shaping an Olympic and Paralympic city. In the summer of 96, Atlanta hosted the Centennial Olympics Games for the 10th Paralympic Games. For some, memories are still vivid. Oh, so this is also from the Paralympic Olympics as well. And around here, they have more artifacts from the games as well. Well, and also is the Paralympic Games as well. Celebrate Africa. Again from Atlanta, yeah, the Olympic Games. Greece, 8 days, 1,330 miles. That's really beautiful. Torch here. 1:05 p.m. tonight, or 9:05 p.m. tonight. When they light the flame in Atlanta, we can feel like we are part of it. Oh, that's beautiful. Mascots have been a part of the Olympic Games since the late 1960s. And here is one of those mascots. There's good old Bill right there. Olympic Atlanta 1996. You have all the different bricks that they have, commemorative bricks. And that is cool. Look at all those tickets from that time period. And look, you even have different types of commemorative stuff, like Home Depot, McDonald's, Barbie, and of course Georgia and the VHS. I think that's a VHS. This bridge is grounded in the neighborhood is a very, very important gesture. Oh, and this is the Olympic bridge, or a model of the Olympic bridge in Atlanta, which actually we're not too far from. It's cool to see just a smaller version on how all that was done. And look how they did it. You would climb up the top via elevator or via stairs. You'd carry and you would run the torch, and you'd go up to the top and light it. This is from the Olympics. Let me see. Global participation. The 96 game broke records and realized new goals for more than 10,000 athletes from 197 countries. Oh, that's cool. This is called Map of the World. Latex painting by on 5 engineered wooden panels, July to August 96. Oh, that is so neat. Look how all that is painted. That is just simply breathtaking. Think about it. It must have been a time to be alive during the Olympics. It must have been astounding. Hey, buddy. You look like a friendly squirrel. Yeah, I mean, I don't got no food, but you look like a friendly squirrel. What you doing? Huh? And he's just hopping off. I love wildlife. Okay, now, I did not realize that the Atlanta History Museum was as big as it was. I mean, there was just so much there. But anyway, we're gonna check out one more thing before we end this vlog. We are going to check out the Swan House that's out here at the museum. And look, they even got a small playground. I don't see toys like that anymore. I like the ironwork in that. Plus, it's mesmerizing too, just to watch them bounce back and forth, back and forth. Okay, my ADHD is kicking in, so we gotta start walking now. The Quarry Garden Bridge, given by Francis and Beverly Du Bois, or the Du Bois Foundation, or the Forward Arts Foundation, 2009. So this bridge was built in 2009. And across from it, you have more of the gardens that are out here at the museum. I mean, this is pretty awesome. I mean, if you're not careful, you could seriously get lost out here. It's really peaceful out here. Now, this was well worth the $27. Very well worth it. This place is awesome. And again, there's another marker of the Quarry Garden Bridge. And I believe I have found it. Here is the Swan House. And it is beautiful. I believe I'm in the backyard. No, I'm not too sure on the history of it. But here, I'll explain a little bit more in the video, just to tell a little bit more history about it. That is a beautiful building. The restoration of the Cascade Fountain honored Aunt Louise Richardson Allen and Anne Cambridge Calf. Man, this is a beautiful house. So this fountain right here was restored some time ago. I mean, that's a really nice field too, really nice courtyard. But man, this is just so peaceful. Gotta think, you must have had some serious money back then to have a house like this. And now the Swan House has not only one fountain, it's got two. Well, I guess technically you could say that's a courtyard. Now this is beautiful. Just look at the architecture behind this. Man, you probably would not want to stand by that all day. You'd probably want to go to the bathroom at some point. Well, I like the Victorian look. And now, from my understanding, it was owned by the Inmans at one point. I do know that much. Bald eagle. On top we've got the pillars. Wouldn't you have liked to have been the person to own this house originally? I bet you'd probably feel pretty important. Like, you were at an epitome, or maybe I don't think epitome is a word, but you would be a pillar in the community. There we go. I think that about sums it up. And up from across that, we've got some statues. Right across from here is my... You want to say hi for the vlog, Lily? Lily says no. This isn't a Victorian playhouse. Yeah, let me see. It was built in 1890 in downtown Atlanta. The playhouse has resided in Inman Park, Ashley Park, Brookwood Hills, Buckhead, reflecting Atlanta's residential growth northward. In 1980, William D. Ellis family donated it to the Atlanta Historical Society. So this itty bitty playhouse, if you were a kid, you could play in it. Got some toys right there. You could play house, act as if you were the master or the mistress of the house. Probably feel pretty important. I like the dog, he looks very important. A little Harriet. And obviously this room has no AC. It's pretty hot in here. We've got some children, a man and a woman. A place where you could sit and reflect. It looks like there's even some light fixtures in here as well. Although I kind of doubt that those have ever, well, I imagine it's been used by the museum, but when this was a playhouse, I imagined it didn't have that. That's what I'm trying to say. And right outside, here is the very front of the building. Man, this is gorgeous. Look at the artwork in that, the architecture. I guess you could say that's old school demure. I gotta stop using that word. I know I'm using it out of context. But yeah, you guys, we're coming to the end of this vlog. I would go inside, but nah, we're pressed for time. We got another vlog that we're gonna be checking out. But real quick, look at this beautiful Model T. Imagine, this was one of the first major vehicles of transportation, well, cars of transportation. This was a really cool museum. I thoroughly enjoyed this. And you know what, you guys? That was only about probably 30, well, maybe about 50% of the museum as a whole. There was so much more here. I wanted to see the Native American gallery that they had there of all like the different artifacts from the Native Americans in the Georgia area. But anyway, this was just totally cool. I might come back here and film again one day in the future. But anyway, you guys, remember, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Always means a lot. Goes to show that y'all care, that y'all want to see more awesome videos. So without further ado, you guys, this vlog is over.